Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is titled Dealing with Loneliness. Lately, I've been reflecting on how people cope with loneliness. It's a universal experience, yet everyone seems to have their own way of handling it. For some, it's a quiet acceptance, while for others, it leads to more destructive behaviors. Sometimes it's hard to even recognize when we're acting out because of those feelings. When you're feeling that heavy weight of loneliness, you might lash out or behave in ways you wouldn't normally agree with. At that moment, it can feel like those choices are the only way to deal with what you're experiencing. It's almost like a survival instinct kicking in. When you're lonely, everything seems amplified, and that pressure can drive you to make decisions you'll regret later. Understanding how we feel during these times is tough. When life is good, and we're surrounded by friends and family, it's easy to believe that those connections will always be there. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. One minute you're on top of the world, and the next you find yourself alone, grappling with the silence. It can be disorienting, almost like a betrayal, as if the universe has decided to pull the rug out from under you just when you thought you were secure. It's a feeling that many of us know all too well. And let's not forget about the societal pressures we face. We live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of perfect friendships and families, and it can be easy to think that loneliness is a personal failing. But the truth is, loneliness is a part of the human experience. It's a shared struggle that connects us all, regardless of our backgrounds or circumstances. What's crucial is recognizing these emotions and understanding that everyone, at some point, feels lonely. No one is invincible to it. A powerful takeaway is this: you might feel lonely, but you're never truly alone. Think about it. There are countless people out there who share those same feelings. It can be comforting to remember that you're part of a larger community of individuals grappling with similar struggles. While it may seem like no one cares, the reality is there's always someone out there who would be willing to lend an ear or offer a helping hand. Reaching out can be incredibly difficult, especially when it feels like no one is listening. You might have experienced that moment when you send a message to a friend, only to be met with silence. It's disheartening, and it can make you feel even more isolated. But here's the thing: it's essential to keep trying. There are people who genuinely want to support you, even if it doesn't always feel that way in the moment. Sometimes, it just takes a little persistence to find those connections. Now, I want to talk about the reality of loneliness. A lot of people don't realize that loneliness is an inevitable part of life. There are going to be periods when you feel completely isolated, and sometimes there's nothing you can do to stop it. You can't always give up when things don't go your way. Life is full of ups and downs, and loneliness is just one of those down moments. But here's the silver lining: enduring those feelings can actually make you stronger. Think about it. If you don't confront loneliness when it comes knocking, it can totally overwhelm you the next time it appears. Each time you face it, you're building resilience, equipping yourself to handle the next wave that crashes over you. This doesn't mean you have to be strong all the time. It's okay to feel vulnerable and scared. It's part of being human. But it's also important to develop healthy coping mechanisms. We all know that people have different ways of dealing with loneliness. Some might turn to hobbies, exercise, or meditation, while others might indulge in unhealthy habits like drugs or alcohol. Those unhealthy coping strategies can seem appealing in the moment, but they rarely lead to lasting solutions. They might numb the pain temporarily, but in the long run, they only complicate things further. And here's the thing: there's no one-size-fits-all guide to dealing with loneliness. Everyone copes in their own way, and there's no right way to go about it. What works for one person might not work for another. So if you're searching for a handbook on how to navigate loneliness, I'm afraid you're out of luck. But that's okay. It's all about finding what helps you feel better. It might take some trial and error, but discovering those healthy outlets is worth the effort. Now, let's address the darker side of loneliness. It can lead some people to the brink, pushing them into deep despair. We've heard heartbreaking stories of individuals who couldn't bear the weight of their isolation and ended their lives, feeling consumed by their pain. It's a tragic reality, and it serves as a stark reminder of how crucial it is to address these feelings before they spiral out of control. But I'm here to tell you that you don't have to go down that path. You don't have to let loneliness consume you. There are people in this world who care about you deeply, even if it doesn't always feel that way. Remember, loneliness is just a chapter in your life, not the whole story. It might feel endless at times, but trust me, it's temporary. Reach out. I know it's hard, and I know it feels like shouting into the void sometimes, but even in those dark moments, there's always someone willing to listen. You have to stay alive and keep pushing through. The only way out of that pain is to face it, not escape it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Moore's October Rants. I appreciate you taking the time to reflect on this important topic with me. Remember, you're not alone in your struggle. You're stronger than you realize, and there's always hope. Signing out now. Have a good one and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.